People tend to think motivation is something you generate on your own if you're disciplined enough. The common idea is that burnout happens because someone fails to manage their time or is simply not mentally strong enough. This viewpoint, however, is incomplete. According to social psychology, psychology shows that motivation is not only an individual process. Rather, it is shaped by the people around us, the support we receive, and the sense of connection we feel while working towards long-term goals. When we ignore this social side, we misunderstand where burnout actually comes from. This matters because students, athletes, and workers are often told to push harder when they feel overwhelmed, which can make burnout even worse. When people rely on themselves for motivation, they become more vulnerable to stress and exhaustion, especially during long projects or high-pressure periods. Understanding the role of social support has real consequences too. It can determine whether someone stays committed to their long-term goals or reaches a point where they shut down completely. The importance of having others around you to help motivate you is more crucial for preventing burnout and high stress levels than relying on yourself to pursue your long-term goals.
In order to prove our thesis that it is better to have a successful group around you, we called on Dr. Elena Martinez, who is a clinical psychologist studying stress and resilience. And she stated how, when examining long-term motivation, we often look for inward discipline, mindset, and grit, but the research consistently shows something else. The presence of supportive relationships is one of the strongest predictors of whether someone thrives under pressure or is going to burn out. Humans regulate stress socially, even if we don't realize we're doing it.
Mike is no stranger to burnout. He faced many obstacles throughout his life and has been beyond overwhelmed at many points during his
I feel like in the past, when I experienced emotional burnout, I had a difficult time in my younger 20s and early 30s setting appropriate boundaries with employers and other employees. I tended to people please. A lot of that had to
Throughout his time as a trucker, Mike faced what's known in psychology as social desirability and, as a result, suffered to chronic stress. John Carlo is no stranger to pressure and training demands, and this is how his social expectations influence his motivation.
I base my motivation off of my purpose and what I'm going to be doing in my future. So for me at the Naval Academy, I'm preparing to be commissioned into the Navy or Marine Corps.
On a daily basis, John Carlo is able to minimize stress and prevent burnout from reminding himself what the end goal is going to look like and what he's doing this all for.
I base my motivation off of knowing that I'm going to be providing for something greater than myself. And with that, there's no reason for me to burn out or do anything else that would prohibit me from being the best person I can.
Through the support of his faith and his peers, he's able to set goals and achieve them without losing track.
So maintaining my faith and knowing that I have a duty as being in the military and just pushing myself to be that better person, because at the end of the day, I'm not fighting for myself, I'm fighting for the people under me, the people above me, and the United States.
In sports, coaching is one of the most crucial aspects of reaching your goals. It can make or break your determination, heavily affect the outcome. Here's how Coach Blount helps his bowlers.
I tell them I don't care if we win or lose. I want them to have fun. I want them to enjoy themselves. But at the same time, again, it's bowling. So, I try to give them constructive criticism. I never look down on them. The other thing is I try to celebrate all of their achievements. Again, bowling strikes, spares. If something looked difficult and they did well, I'm trying to always promote them.
But opposed to what we've seen earlier in the documentary, Mr. Blount is actually a big proponent on seeking motivation in yourself.
Yes, I was taught very early to be a self-motivator, and I feel that setting those personal goals and being able to achieve them very rewarding. So it also works when I'm not around other people. Like if I'm at home or whatever, I'd still do the same mentality. So it kind of carries over that way, and I don't have to rely on somebody else for it.
A way to see this theory in the real world is with a good buddy, Jordan, who's a high school athlete training for a championship in lacrosse. He definitely learned this firsthand. He stated that he kept trying to push through everything alone and figured if he needed the help, it meant that he wasn't committed enough. But eventually, he felt drained and just couldn't do it anymore. It wasn't until my teammates and coaches stepped in. They started checking in, practicing with me, reminding me that I wasn't doing this by myself, and that this caused things to turn around for me. After reading about the young man's story, Dr. Martinez states how Jordan's experience is incredibly common. The burnout spikes when people are feeling isolated, even if they're still performing well on the surface level. Supportive relationships act like a buffer, and they're there to lower stress, increase motivation, and sustain the emotional energy needed for long-term goals.
Across interviews, case studies, and research, one conclusion became clear. Burnout is not simply the result of hard work, it is the result of isolation, unmanaged pressure, and a lack of support. Mike's experiences show how overwhelming demands can drain motivation over time, while Gene's responses highlight how constant pressure and social expectations shape daily stress levels. Coach Blount's perspective reveals the critical role leadership plays in minimizing stress for others, reinforcing what the research confirms. Based on the evidence, the next logical step for both individuals and society is to stop glorifying self-isolation in the pursuit of success. Schools should integrate mental health education that teaches cognitive reframing, stress regulation, and help-seeking behaviors. Coaches and employers must prioritize communications, check-ins, and social support as essential parts of performance and productivity. On a personal level, individuals must redefine strength, not the ability to endure alone, but as the wisdom to lean on others before they break. Burnout doesn't always look like failure. Sometimes it looks like success that costs too much. So the real question is not how much can one person handle, but rather how much stronger could we all be if no one had to carry their weight alone.
Thank you for watching.